So, I mean, you can't ask for $20 an hour wages and at the same time say, I want to bring people in and make them compete with you who are willing to work for $7 an hour. Doesn't make sense. It's not logical. My kids know better than that. But see, we can't expect logic from liberalism. And that's what we've got to realize. You can't go with them with logic. So what we decided was our strategy has to be just like it was with university. See, we've done this before, guys. We've done cultural transformation, or we push back on stuff, and we've done transformation of institutions so that more people could have opportunity, but merit could win as well. We've done that before. We did it with universities when we decided. I mean, when I went to Virginia Tech, I went and I kept going to the bursar's office to pick up my scholarship check, and I transferred from the College of William and Mary, and the bursar was like, well, did you have some paperwork problems? Did you, your transfer paper, your matriculation documents didn't quite get over to us because we can't find your check? Maybe it's a time issue. I went back, started checking my books out from the library because I couldn't afford to buy them. So I checked my books out from the library, my textbooks, and then the librarian started to say, hey, you can't just keep checking out the biology 101 book. You can't do that for the whole semester. And I was like, oh, I don't have money for books. And so I go back to the bursar's office. There's only about 300 people out of 22,000 people at Virginia Tech when I was an undergraduate, 300 Black Americans. And most of those were athletes. And so it dawned on me, something must be up. And it dawned on the bursar too. She goes, why don't you talk to your coach? And I said, why would I talk to my coach? You know what I'm about to say, don't you? And she says, well, he might have your scholarship check at his office or something. And I said, which coach? And she said, the football coach. And I said, I'm here on an academic scholarship. She goes, oh!
You just shot her.
And of course, my check was in another office. Okay, so we have a lot of work to do in America, but we fixed that. Virginia Tech is now 13% Black American. That's the same percentage the state population of Black Americans are. And they don't have affirmative action when it comes to access. They found, except for the athletes. We do have, they don't call it affirmative action when it comes to football players, right? And we even have a free Todd Gurley movement. I'm not going to get into that Georgia stuff. I know how y'all are in Georgia. I'm sorry, look, once you're in the mid-Atlantic, I'm from Virginia, so, once you get below Virginia, above Virginia, when we hear SEC, we think Security Exchange Commission. We don't think SEC football, I'm sorry. Just kidding. My brother-in-law played football for UGA. Leonard Pope, some of y'all probably knew of him. So he was my brother-in-law, and it's really interesting. My wife grew up in Connecticut. He stayed in South Georgia, and it's real interesting some of the conversations I've had with Coach Rick. But but we transformed those institutions. Georgia has been transformed, and we did it. We found Black American students who said, that's a value that I can agree with. I want that kind of education. I want that kind of education. I want that kind of education. We located them. We recruited them. We got them to come to the universities. Universities have been changed ever since. The Republican Party can do the same thing. The same thing. We just got to use the same process. And so I said to John, John, we need a pipeline. This is very easy. John Padgett, our chairman, I said, look, we've got to systemically identify people who might have affinity towards the Republican platform. We've got to engage those people, not outreach to them, because outreach is just throwing something over there. Let me help you out. Let me give you some of this. We need to engage them, to talk to them, to be on equal playing fields with them. Then we need to relate our message to their questions, and we need to relate to them and make sure that they feel that we care about them, and we also give them an opportunity to tell us that they care about our America too. And then we need to start thinking about things from as long as to November 4th. We had to work on a get out the vote plan, and so we had a strategy just related to getting out the vote. Okay, and the Georgia GOP did a lot of different things this time. A lot of different things. Okay, and we can talk about that now, get into some brass tacks of that. But we decided we needed to engage, we needed to relate, identify, engage and relate. And then not only would we give people the opportunity to be transformed by the renewing of their minds, but yet we ourselves as a party could be transformed too. It's not just about transforming them. It's about increasing the capacity of the ship of freedom. America is a ship of freedom. And the Republican Party right now is the only party that can carry a righteous wind behind it that blows a sail towards justice. It is the only party that is extending itself into the ideas that all of us believe in, of liberty and the pursuit of happiness and individual marriage. Is the only party that is saying that if you have a massive government that is requiring of you this and that is in control of your medicine, that is in control of your schooling, that is in control of your light bill, that is in control of your phone, how can you rage against that machine? How can you have a Reverend Martin Luther King if Reverend Martin Luther King is dependent on the government? He can't fight against that which gives him his food. And so for Black Americans or anybody else who would be striving for social justice right now, it's a very dangerous thing to have big government. We are in a very, very bad place. And we need to stop being more pro-Democrat than we are pro-Black. And so this movement that we have looks a little different. And it sounds sometimes a little bit like Stokely Carmichael. Sometimes when it starts sounding like an empowerment movement for Black people, it's not as empowerment movement for all Americans. And sometimes we just have to use an example, a small segment, in order to make the point that America, when you provide liberty, when you provide freedom to everybody wins. A rising tide gathers all boats. When you show free market opportunity, and a little boy like Leo Smith growing up in a house without electricity could take his Grit newspaper and his Boys Life seeds that he ordered from Boys Life magazine, that great organization that we're also trying to destroy. And when he takes those seeds and he sells them, and he learns commerce, and he learns how to make $1.50 so he can go buy Chico sticks and peppermint patties and stuff from the store, and he realizes that if I save some of this money, then my mama will give me a dime more if I have a dime left. If I learn compounded interest, then I can live in a house in Vinings, Georgia, with my kids going to Westminster School, where I spend more money on my kids' school than my mom ever spent on a house. That's America. That's free market. Free market has a lot of moral authority. When I ran health clubs, when I owned a health club in Georgia, I used to tell my guys, I said, guys, how many of you guys are motivated by your faith? You can always have your Bible held in. Because if that's your sales motivation, I want you to use it. How much do you want to tithe to God? Huh? 10%. Well, how much? Would you like to tithe $1,000 a month to God? Yeah. Then you need to earn $10,000 a month. These are simple motivations that God has given us. Simple, good lessons. Ben Carson's got it right. If 10% is good enough, God, how come 10% ain't good enough for the government? You know, I'm not sure about it. Don't ask me about his candidacy. I'm not going to talk about that. But we're going to do a lot of strange things. We'll talk about that, and I'm going to close with this. I'm going to show you an example of the rebranding we're doing. Not that we're rebranding our party, but some of the sub-branding we're doing. And is there any media in here? No media? Okay, but anyway, I'll show this. I bought a couple of these so that Chuck may use them at Sunday as a door prize. But part of what we need to do is that we need to make people understand that, look, this is a simple thing. This thing is about our ability to help you empower yourself. And so I've got 100 photographs of Black Americans wearing this shirt. Half of them don't know what it's about. They don't. Because they've already been trained. So like so many Americans, black, white, yellow, green, doesn't matter. We get trained to just put stuff on our bodies, put it on our butts, and then somebody looks at our butt and we go, why are you looking at my butt? Because you got something written on it. I mean, what do you have there? I mean, that's how brainless we become as a culture. And so people are wearing this shirt and it says empower. Well, I mean, I bet you if I really got down and I really started to argue with them about it, they say, yeah, I believe in empowering. Okay, so do we. That's why we want you and all of us to be free. And if you keep arguing with me about what I have that you want, and you won't pay attention to the ways that I got it, then you'll never be empowered. And I will lose my empowerment because you will always be at my gate knocking saying, give me more. Mm-hmm. So my dad, my father, Chief Petty Officer Ernest McCain, he didn't look at the excuses and look at the pain. He knew it was real, and it was real, and he suffered for it. But it mattered more to him what kind of system could he operate in, what kind of system is available, and how he could manipulate that system, how he could operate in that system of merit and still get the respect of his peers. But the respect of his peers was mostly because of they're in a situation that is dire, that there are lots of fears involved in those situations. And people said, the man next to me, will he dig potatoes? Or will he not? That's a simple solution. I've yet to find a man of any hue who would refuse me when he needed help.